The rain had started only 10 minutes earlier, yet the windows of Rosewood Café were already streaked with silver trails, trembling under the weight of the storm. Inside, warm lights glowed, coffee machines hissed, and every table was filled with people escaping the cold. It was the kind of day where strangers avoided eye contact, where everyone was too wrapped up in their own thoughts to notice the quiet corners of the room, except for Andrew Carter, who sat alone with a half-finished cup of black coffee and a heart heavier than the sky outside. He had come to the cafe to escape the memories of what he had lost, but loneliness had a way of finding him, no matter how packed the room was. Then, just as he lowered his head, a shadow fell across his table, followed by a trembling voice that would change everything. "My daughter is hungry. Can we sit with you? If you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts." Andrew looked up, startled, his gaze meeting the exhausted yet determined eyes of a woman holding a little girl by the hand. Her coat was soaked, her hair dripping, her shoes muddy, and the child shivered beside her, a small bundle of courage facing a world that had given her far too little. The cafe was full, not a single seat empty. People glanced over, then quickly looked away, pretending not to hear her plea. The woman stood there helplessly, her voice barely more than a whisper, as though she expected rejection again. Her name, she later told him, was Monica Rivera, a single mom who had been struggling to make ends meet since losing her job 2 months back. Her daughter, Sophie, wore a faded pink jacket that was too thin for the stormy weather. Andrew saw the way the child clutched her stomach and quietly bit her lip, pretending to be brave. Something inside him cracked open, something he had kept locked up ever since his own life had fallen apart a year earlier, when a car accident had taken away the woman he loved and the future they had planned. In that moment, he didn't hesitate. He nodded, gesturing to the empty chair across from him. Monica exhaled deeply, as though that small act of kindness had lifted a weight off her shoulders. She guided Sophie into the seat, whispering something gently into her hair. Andrew noticed how Monica's hands trembled as she sat down. It wasn't just the cold, it was the burden of life pressing down on her. The cafe buzzed around them, coffee orders, laughter from friends, the tapping of laptop keys, but at that small table in the corner, time slowed. Andrew observed the quiet way Monica wiped her daughter's hair with her sleeve, the way she pressed her lips together to hide her worry, the way she scanned the menu with the eyes of someone calculating every dollar. It reminded him painfully of his own struggles, the days he himself had stared at bills he couldn't pay, the nights he cried silently in bed, pretending he was okay. He gently slid the menu toward her, yet he saw her hesitate. She avoided the expensive items, pointing instead at the cheapest sandwich, as if ashamed to want more. Andrew called the waiter over and ordered a warm meal for Sophie, insisting gently when Monica tried to protest. She apologized repeatedly, embarrassed, but he shook his head each time, giving her the kindest smile he could manage after months of battling his own darkness. As the food arrived and Sophie ate with small, grateful bites, Andrew felt something stir inside him, a warmth he hadn't felt since before the accident. Watching the child enjoy her meal reminded him of the softness he used to carry in his heart, the part of him his grief had drowned. And he realized something: maybe he wasn't as broken as he thought. Maybe kindness could glue the cracks together. Monica shared pieces of her story, though she seemed reluctant at first. She told him how her company shut down, how she'd been searching desperately for work, how her savings had evaporated, and how she had walked miles in the rain because bus fare had become a luxury. She admitted she had planned to skip dinner so Sophie could eat. As she spoke, her voice wavered and tears pressed hard behind her eyes, but she forced herself to be strong. Andrew listened, really listened. And in doing so, he was reminded of the power of simply being there for someone, exactly what he once lost when his own life shattered. He shared nothing about his tragedy, yet his silence carried a story she didn't push him to tell. The cafe began to thin out as the storm intensified outside. People left in pairs or groups, laughing as they disappeared into the wet night. But Andrew, Monica, and Sophie remained, their table forming a small island of humanity amid the chaos of life. Monica tried to refuse when the bill came, but Andrew insisted gently, saying it was the least he could do. He told her that kindness was something the world needed more of, and tonight was simply his chance to give some back. She suddenly broke down, tears rolling silently down her face as she hid her face in her hands. The weight she had carried alone for so long seemed to collapse all at once. Andrew reached across the table, lightly touching her hand. She didn't pull away. In that brief, fragile moment, two weary souls found something like understanding. Two strangers connected by struggle, pain, and a flicker of hope. When they stepped outside, the rain had softened to a gentle drizzle. The streetlights reflected on the wet pavement like scattered stars. Sophie held Andrew's hand with her tiny fingers, trusting him instantly, and something about that simple gesture made his throat tighten. At the bus stop, Monica tried to express her gratitude, searching for the right words, but Andrew stopped her. He told her she didn't owe him anything. He said helping them had reminded him that life still had moments worth holding on to. He said that sometimes God puts people in our path not to be saved, but to save us. Before they boarded the bus, Sophie looked up at him with wide, innocent eyes and whispered a small thank you, the kind that reaches deeper than anything else. Andrew felt his broken heart shift, soften, and slowly begin to heal. Monica asked if they could keep in touch, not out of dependency, but because she sensed a sincerity in him, the kind rarely found in a world full of rushed interactions and closed-off hearts. Andrew nodded, giving her his number, and he meant it when he said he hoped to see them again. As the bus pulled away, Andrew stood in the rain watching the small silhouette of the little girl waving at him through fogged glass. Something inside him felt renewed, like hope had quietly climbed back into his soul. Over the next weeks, their lives intertwined unexpectedly. Andrew helped Monica find a part-time job at a friend's small furniture store in Philadelphia. He helped with small things, fixing her resume, giving Sophie a warm jacket his niece had outgrown, dropping off groceries occasionally. But he never made her feel like charity. He made her feel like a person who deserves support, dignity, and a chance. Monica, in return, brought warmth into his life. She brought laughter into the moments he had forgotten how to smile in. Sophie brought innocence that softened the sharp edges of his grief. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, Andrew realized he had found something he wasn't searching for: connection, healing, a reason to believe in tomorrow again. Near the end of that winter, on a soft Sunday afternoon, the three of them found themselves back at Rosewood Café, the place where it all began. They sat together at the same table, watching customers come and go, watching life move in cycles of strangers crossing paths without knowing how desperately someone at the next table might need a smile. It was then Andrew realized that the day Monica approached him was the day his story began again. Not because he saved her, but because she unknowingly saved him. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps these meaningful stories reach more people who might need them. Before you go, please comment below what part of the story moved you the most. As the afternoon sun warmed the cafe windows, Andrew looked at Monica and Sophie and felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: peace. The world outside still carried storms, but inside that small cafe, surrounded by two people who had wandered into his life by chance, he felt whole again. And sometimes, all it takes is one moment of courage, one act of kindness, one stranger saying, "My daughter is hungry, can we sit with you?" to change the course of a broken heart forever.